What's up, everyone? Listen, hey, I want to talk about one of the massive buffs that just came through in the most recent patch that I think people are kind of sleeping on, and that's the Punisher Plasma. Arrowhead boosted this bad boy's damage up by 50%, from 150 per shot all the way up to 225. And trust me, it's extremely noticeable. For me, that's enough to say this weapon belongs in the same conversation as the Purifier or the Scorcher. So today, I want to dive into some loadouts that I've been using with this weapon to showcase a bit about what it's capable of and why it's worth your time, because this weapon is awesome and it's a ton of fun. We're going to cover the strengths and weaknesses here and how to work with those to put together an effective build. And if you stick around till the end, we're going to cover some alternative choices that I think would work really great, just in case you don't have access to everything we're talking about. Alright, now 3 things I want to cover real quick before we get to the loadout. Number 1 is this thing absolutely smokes bile spewers, which are probably the biggest loadout consideration on high-level bugs, because taking the wrong weapon to a bile seed is going to really ruin your day. Number 2, how effective this weapon is against the Predator bugs, and a lot of that is because of the stagger, very similar to why the cookout is good. And number 3, just how dominant of a weapon this is against the Rupture bugs. The explosive AoE pulls them right out of the ground, and the medium pen explosive shots eat right through their armor. Seriously, this weapon totally embarrasses the bug front. Now you may be thinking, okay, Go, yeah, I get it. Explosive weapons are good. What's the big deal here? The reason that I'm stoked on this isn't just that it's another competitive explosive weapon. Yeah, that's nice. It's that it meshes those admittedly very meta properties with a great fire rate and, more importantly, stagger. The stagger of this weapon allows you to dictate engagements at medium and long range, keeping enemies away from you while also doing significant amounts of splash damage due to the fire rate, which is where the Purifier struggles. I've been using this thing pretty much non-stop since the buffs went live. Solo dives, squad dives, standard planets, caves on Osha Une, Predator bugs, Rupture bugs, pretty much everything. Honestly, the best way to describe how this weapon feels to me is that it's a plasma grenade launcher that's also a primary weapon. The explosive nature of the Punisher Plasma means that we're going to struggle in close range engagements, so we're going to focus on overcoming that weakness with our loadout. Today we're going to go through a couple of different loadouts, but I'm curious, what have you guys been using with the Punisher Plasma? Have you been enjoying it? What are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below and let's talk about it. And if you're looking for more content covering both effective and fun loadouts for max difficulty Helldivers, like the video and drop a sub. I really appreciate it. First up is probably the most important choice in our entire build, our backpack slot. What do we want to do with it? I think there are several viable options here depending on your preference of crowd control versus mobility. My main pick in this slot has been the Gas Dog, and I opted for this due to its ability to confuse our enemies at medium distance while also damaging them over time, which gives us breathing room to volley explosive shots at them. In particular, I like the Gas Dog over some of the other guard dogs for its overlooked strength in being able to confuse chargers, completely neutralizing this heavy threat, and it also takes advantage of the Predator bug's aggression and desire to gap close by turning that dynamic completely on its head. So now that we have the small and medium enemies accounted for, what do we do about heavies? The Quasar Cannon is our choice here due to its one-shot capability and infinite ammo. Obviously, this is a precision weapon and it requires some practice to hit the correct enemy weak points, but I do think that that trade-off is worth it because the Gas Dog is going to give us the space to land these shots by keeping the little dudes away from us. Now keep in mind that this is a heat-based weapon, so the planet biome that you're on is going to impact how long or short the cooldown between shots is. And if that's a deal breaker for you, we'll talk about some alternate picks later. Our third pick keeps the theme of crowd control running strong, so we're taking the gas mines, baby. Dropping these on a D10 bug breach is going to allow you to lock down the entire thing pretty much by yourself, and combined with you lobbing in explosive splash damage, there just isn't much that's going to survive spawning into a whirlwind of plasma and gas. And for whatever heavies do spawn, we have our trusty Quasar Cannon at the ready to pick those off as they come. Now, a huge tip for gas mines is to make sure that you're placing these in the appropriate position. Do not toss your mine stratagem directly on a breach, both because it increases the chance that something like a charger is going to spawn and destroy your mine laying device, but also because it disperses the mines in a circular pattern. And we want to make sure that we're getting most of our mines between us and that breach. Last up is going to be the Eagle Airstrike, which will serve a multi-purpose role here for being able to take out heavies, delete patrols, and close bug holes all the way up to Bile Titan holes. This is just a solid all-arounder pick due to its 3 uses per cooldown, low call-in time, and horizontal area coverage. Rounding out the loadout is going to be our equipment, and there's a lot that you can do here depending on your preference. For secondary, I ran mostly with the grenade pistol to be able to close bug holes easily, but you could definitely take the ultimatum for additional heavy support, or your preferred sidearm of choice. Shout out to my verdict homies, we all know what's up. On the grenade side, because we're already super gas heavy, we want to opt for something complementary like the incendiary impact grenades or the pyrotech grenades. The idea behind your grenade pick is to weave these in alongside your gas deployments, to layer on that damage over time, so you're getting both a fire and a gas component running simultaneously, and then combine that with an explosive volley from the Punisher plasma. This is just a really nasty combo of damage from multiple sources, and that's going to confuse and rip through anything that's in your path. Last up is the armor choice, and really, I think that this is just going to be personal preference. From an optimization perspective, yeah, because this loadout is so primary focused, I think that Siege Ready is the overall best pick here due to the increased ammo and reload speed, but you could definitely roll with something that gives you extra grenades through engineering kit or perhaps a med kit passive to help boost survivability if that's something you're concerned about. Let's talk about strategies and synergies and why this build is so effective. First off, I like to start engagements proactively by lobbing in shots from the Punisher plasma while the guard dog gets to work. The stagger from the shotgun keeps everything far from you, while the gas dog reinforces that by keeping them in place. For large patrols, toss in a grenade and let your triple damage combos start to eat them alive. Now when a bug breach spawns, get down your mines somewhere between you and the spawn point and look for some high ground to station yourself for good positioning. As the mines start to detonate, weave in a grenade or two to take care of whatever it is that's spawning, and I like to toss in an Eagle airstrike every 1 to 2 grenades to really thoroughly trounce whatever may have survived that initial onslaught. Generally, I like to keep 1 airstrike on hand just in case heavy spawn, but I'm pretty comfortable going in a sequence of grenade, airstrike, and just seeing where things end up. Now just a few quick tips to rattle off here. Don't be shy about using the Quasar even if you can't get the perfect shot. Sometimes you just need a tad more damage to take down a heavy, and I found that frequently, by the time you can get into perfect position for that one shot, your Quasar would have come off cooldown anyway. You gotta learn to dive and shoot with this weapon. This is a skill that's gonna take some practice, but being able to quickly create space against something that managed to sneak into melee range so you can get a shot off, that's gonna be the difference between living and dying. The cooldowns for gas mines and Eagle airstrike are actually really low, so don't be afraid to use them. Since the Punisher plasma is our workhorse, we really need to make sure that we're using ammo efficiently in between resupplies. So have Eagle 1 wipe out a patrol or clear out an objective for you from time to time. Okay, so let's talk alternatives here and where we can make changes and still be effective. Whenever I do loadouts, I really try and take into consideration that not everybody is going to have all of the gear available to them, and there are certainly substitutions to recommend that are still very effective. Obviously, this loadout is heavily themed around crowd control, but I am also really big into mobility, and I use the Warp Pack on all of my D10 solo dives with the Plasma Punisher to great effect. On bugs, distance and space management are the most important things, and the Warp Pack is really great for that. As the gas dog works to keep enemies away, the Warp Pack helps get you away from enemies. It's a more active playstyle for sure, but if you're looking for something really engaging, it's a very effective combo with the Punisher plasma. Subbing out the Quasar for something like EATs, the Commando, or the recently buffed Epoch is also totally viable if one of those is more your preference. The Epoch is kind of sneaky good against Dragon Roaches, for example, and so if you know that those will be around, it's a great pick in this slot. Gas mines could easily be subbed out for any number of orbital AoE stratagems like Napalm, Gas Strike, 120, Gatling Barrage. Possibilities are really kind of endless, honestly, but I really enjoy gas mines specifically because of the cooldown and the amount of value that it brings. Now, if you wanted things to get a little spicier, you could totally rock a sentry here, like a Gatling sentry or machine gun sentry, and opt for gas grenades in your loadout instead. Of course, the obvious substitution for the Eagle airstrike would be a 500, but that seems a little too on the nose and you really don't need me to tell you that. I ran with the Eagle Napalm on my solo runs, and that was a lot of fun. And when I did this, I ran with the Pyrotech grenades versus the Incendiary Impact grenades, just for some additional anti-tank damage. The benefit here is that Eagle Napalm can still close Bile Titan holes with its missiles, and we're still working that gas and fire combo. Okay, so if we wanted to put this all together and have a few different options to choose from, this is what we would be looking at. Loadout 1 is focused around crowd control and keeping enemies off your back by leaning into heavy gas. Loadout number 2 is going to be high mobility with a lot more enemy skirmishing. The Warp Pack will help cover the static reload of the Epoch, and the Sentry can help draw aggro to thin crowds. Now, just as a bonus, if we wanted to modify this to cover a cave biome, I would probably roll with something like this. At this point, it's no surprise that explosive weapons continue to dominate high-level play on the bug side, which is why it's always been so strange that the Punisher Plasma isn't even really in the conversation. And yeah, I know there are people out there that main this weapon, and I'm sure have always been singing its praises. When it comes down to it, the Punisher Plasma now sits comfortably alongside the Scorcher and Purifier, highlighting both the damage of the Scorcher combined with the splash capabilities of the Purifier. And with this thing's fire rate, you have an explosive primary now capable of dealing AoE damage quickly from all distances. That is sick. Lastly, but definitely most importantly, I think this weapon is just a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed using it since the buff, and I'm definitely going to be taking it to max level. If you've never used the Punisher Plasma before, give it a shot. And if you haven't taken it for a ride in a while, dust it off and put it to work, because this thing is a blast. Peace out.